the whole Chase Elliott thing, I don't think that he is deserving of a medical waiver whatsoever for the playoffs, and I will tell you why. We've seen in the past with Kyle Busch getting a medical waiver, Tony Stewart getting a medical waiver. These were incidences that had to deal with racing, right? They both broke their legs in racing related incidents. Chase Elliott was not injured in a racing related incident. Um, I guess the NASCAR season's 9 months long, and you make a commitment through contract that you and your sponsors, your team, the sport, you're owing them your full commitment for 36 races in a season, plus non-points events, etc. Right? To be able to go out and snowboard on your own time, he should have every right in the world to do this. But with that being said, you're taking it into your own risk of being injured, which potentially should eliminate you from championship eligibility. Let's say he goes out and hurts himself in a super late model race or an SRX race or any other type of racing event outside of NASCAR. I believe, yes, he should get a medical waiver because that's racing related. If it's a non-racing related injury, you do not deserve a chance at a medical waiver. And I'll give you an example. We have Cody Ware this week being arrested for assault charges on a woman. Let's say he gets cleared of all of the legal ramifications and everything. NASCAR grants him eligibility to start in NASCAR again. And this is just an example because I'm not speculating or anything based upon that whole side of it, but I'm just saying as this is an example. Say he's cleared to run again, and NASCAR just grants him a medical waiver right away. I I don't believe that would be equal to gaining a medical waiver for the playoffs. That was a non-racing incident, something that basically forced him not to race because of a non-racing incident. And how would you be able to be championship eligible when you put yourself at a risk to potentially hurt yourself or affect your chance at a championship season? Chase Elliott is getting favoritism, I believe, in this situation, and I guess in right so because he's the golden boy of NASCAR, the most money being made there by him and bringing in fans with his popularity. But when these NASCAR drivers are making the amount of money that they are making, you have to accept the risk of going out and putting yourself in a situation to get hurt. And I don't want to hear this whole, oh, he could get hurt walking down the road. He could get hurt walking down the stairwell. Come on now. Like, are you serious? You're going to consider that a potential injury? Sure, I could get hurt freaking leaving my door every day, but that's not something that would affect me long term in the racing world. That's not something that, like, this is an event that could have easily been avoided. Yes, he's an avid snowboarder and this is his hobby, but you have to take in the fact that if you go out and do this activity and you get hurt, why are you able to get a free pass and be championship eligible? That's not fair. That's not fair to anybody else that's not taking that risk. Sure, he should be able to go do that. I agree 100%. He has all the right in the world to go do activities on his own at any time on his free time, but you have to take in the fact that it could put you at risk of not being able to compete for a championship. And if that's the risk that you're willing to take, considering that maybe you shouldn't be able to be rewarded a playoff waiver to run for a championship, then so be it. But you should not be championship eligible when you take a risk such as he did, and should not any driver be able to have that type of risk. If it's a racing incident, if he goes and runs off like Kyle Larson does with the wing sprint cars, or lots of these drivers go run off weekends or go run during the weekdays in other racing series, sure, I agree that you should be granted a medical waiver because you're racing. That's what you are. You're a race car driver. And if you're not willing to go and race outside of NASCAR for whatever reason, I guess that's fair enough too. But if you want to, you should be able to as well. But I mean, this is something that he could have done in the off season, right? If you get hurt in the off season in a non-racing incident, sure, you get hurt, you're unable to run the beginning of the season. Sure, you will get a medical waiver for racing the championship. But to be mid-season like this is, or the beginning of the season, 3 races in to get hurt and miss some amount of races, like you've committed into the season. Once you've started that first race, you're committed into the season. and you get hurt, no medical waiver for you. I'm sorry, you don't get a championship waiver. Better luck next year. Maybe you won't get hurt next year and you can run next year. But it's just, I don't think it's right. It's a bad precedent that NASCAR set in here. It's basically gonna make it where what's gonna prevent drivers from in the future of winning a race and then deciding, hey, you know what, I'm just not gonna race for the next 20 weeks. The risk is just, it ain't there. Let's just sit out. Let's not race. Whatever. We'll come back for the playoffs. We'll win the championship. See, this is just a bad look. This is terrible for the sport. If we're gonna set a precedent like this, I mean, you could literally make any excuse. You could say you're having a mental problem or you have family issues. You got to sit out. Like, come on, man. Like, we are just setting a bad precedence, a bad example for NASCAR. We need to hold these drivers accountable. And these other people are saying, oh well, you should be able to have PTO. I get PTO. You should be able to take time off. Well, okay, but I mean, these are the top premier NASCAR drivers in the world, and the amount of money that they're making and the amount of responsibility on their shoulders. There's thousands of drivers in this country racing on short tracks that would love to have the opportunity that Chase Elliott has, would love to be able to have that 9 car and commit their whole life to racing. And if you don't want to commit your whole season, 9 months of your life to this season that you've committed to via contract, then do you really deserve a medical waiver or championship waiver? I mean, you've got to understand the risk reward in these situations. And if you risk getting hurt with a non-racing related incident, then you just are not committed and you don't deserve to compete for a championship that year. That's all I have to say about that. So sorry. That's just the way it is, and that's the bottom line.